Spider-Man Homecoming set off our spider sense because it was filled with so many comic book Easter eggs and references. Here is everything we found. Speaking of spider sense, that signature power doesn't show up in this movie. As Peter described in Captain America: Civil War, his abilities give him input overload and he uses goggles to help him focus. So he does have enhanced senses, just not the precognitive danger alert we're used to seeing. Director John Watts said they left it out because the other Spider-Man movies already explored that power, and they wanted to do something different, although he did leave the door open to including it in the future. Now let's talk about the many villains that popped up. Spider-Man makes a joke while stopping the masked bank robbers where he says that it's nice to finally meet Thor and Hulk, acknowledging that those two heroes were absent when he joined the superhero Civil War. The robbers were using weapons they got from Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, who has made a criminal career out of stealing and selling superpowered tech. After the Battle of New York, we see him in the same room where Hulk sucker punched Thor, and he makes off with some Chitauri tech. And at the end, we see him trying to steal from a Stark plane that Happy says has a new Captain America shield prototype and Thor's magic belt. There have been other shields throughout Cap's history, including one made of pure energy and another pointed shield that has a lightsaber-like edge. We're left to speculate that this prototype is something Tony was working on before his rift with Cap in Civil War. As for Thor's belt, it's pronounced Meganjord and is better known as the Belt of Strength. It can be strapped on to boost Thor's already considerable muscle power. Vulture's crew includes Montana, a member from the Enforcers trio in the comics, Phineas Mason, a sinister inventor called the Tinkerer, and Herman Schultz, who is the Shocker from the comics. In the movie, Montana starts out as the Shocker, but then Schultz takes up his comic book mantle. This switcheroo could be seen as a nod to the spectacular Spider-Man cartoon where Montana is used as the Shocker. There's also Mac Gargan, better known as the supervillain, the Scorpion, as evidenced by the scorpion tattoo on his neck. The three shield flying fortresses that crashed at the end of Captain America: The Winter Soldier get referenced when Spider-Man hears mention of the Triskelion cleanup effort while eavesdropping on Shocker and Tinkerer in the van. They also mention Lagos, referencing the place where Cap's team went after Crossbones at the start of Captain America: Civil War. While not a supervillain per se, Aaron Davis makes an appearance as the man who Spidey tracks down and confronts in the parking garage. In the Marvel Ultimate Universe, Aaron is a thief known as the Prowler, which he alludes to when he expresses interest in buying the climbing tech. But more importantly, he's the uncle of Miles Morales, the half-black, half-Hispanic teen who becomes Spider-Man. Aaron mentions he has a nephew, which confirms that Miles does indeed exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And while we're talking about Aaron, Montana tries to sell him a blaster made from the arm of a sub-Ultron drone. The authority in charge of cleaning up the messes these superhero battles create is the company Damage Control. Spider-Man even finds an Ultron drone head from the Battle of Sokovia while trapped in their vault. The company's director, Anne-Marie Hogue, is the woman who relieves Vulture from cleanup duty. Damage Control was created in the comics to be a more grounded sitcom within the Marvel Universe, and it was actually in development to become its own comedy series on ABC in 2015. Occasional love interest and Daily Bugle co-worker Betty Brant is co-host of the school TV news show along with Jason Iannello, one of Flash's friends who joined in on bullying Peter. Now, Flash does bully Peter in the movie, but in the comics, they go on to become good friends, and Flash eventually becomes Venom. Although, don't count on the symbiote showing up in any upcoming Spider-Man movies. Sony's Amy Pascal and Marvel's Kevin Feige said that the recently announced Venom movie starring Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock doesn't take place in the MCU. Peter's best friend Ned looks and acts just like Genki, the best friend of Miles Morales, right down to his obsession with Legos. The name Ned, however, is that of a Daily Bugle reporter who eventually marries Betty Brant and gets brainwashed into becoming the supervillain, the Hobgoblin. In Spectacular Spider-Man, the character was Asian and named Ned Lee, so Movie Ned is more of a mashup of everything that came before him. Liz Allen isn't Vulture's daughter in the comics, although she is related to other supervillains like her stepbrother Mark Raxon, the Molten Man, and her husband is Harry Osborn, the second Green Goblin. Also, when Spidey saves Liz in the elevator, he hangs upside down and Karen tells him this would be the perfect time for a kiss, which is a nod to the Tobey Maguire-Kirsten Dunst spider kiss from the first Spider-Man movie. Karen, you'll remember, is the name of the AI voice inside Spider-Man's suit, voiced by Jennifer Connelly, who has a couple other superhero connections. She's married to Vision actor Paul Bettany, and she played Betty Ross in the non-MCU Hulk movie directed by Ang Lee. At the end, Michelle reveals that her friends call her MJ, but according to Pascal and Feige, that doesn't necessarily make her the same MJ as Mary Jane Watson. They told IGN that Michelle may or may not end up dating Peter, but she's a new high school character that won't go on to become the MJ from the comics. The school principal is a descendant of the same actor's Howling Commandos character. Kenneth Choi played Jim Morita in Captain America: The First Avenger and plays Principal Morita here. He even has a framed photo of Jim Morita in his military uniform in his office. The movie pays homage to Ferris Bueller's Day Off when Spider-Man recreates the same shot as Ferris running through the neighborhood. The clips of Captain America's Fitness Challenge were included thanks to the President's Fitness Challenge that director John Watts remembered from when he was in school. The clip shown during the end credit scene takes a jab at how every Marvel movie keeps including extra scenes. Because Captain America is wearing the same uniform as seen in the first Avengers movie, he must have filmed these clips in between the events of the Avengers and the Winter Soldier back when he wasn't on the run from the law. The scene where Peter musters up the strength to escape the collapsed rubble is an iconic scene pulled right from Spider-Man number 33. Spider-Man eventually does join the Avengers in the comics, although only after years of flirting with the idea of membership. The upgraded suit offered by Tony Stark is our first look at spider armor, something Peter has worn several versions of in the comics for more intense battles.
Stan Lee has his mandatory Marvel cameo as a neighborly man shouting at Spider-Man from his window.
And finally, we'll end with the beginning that featured a full orchestral rendition of the 1967 Spider-Man cartoon theme song. That's everything we found in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Let us know anything you found in the comments, and be sure to check out our review of the movie and our list of the best Spider-Man gadgets. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.